You never know you'll miss something till it's gone. You can try to get it back, but you know it'll never be the same. Of course, I'm talking about the most pressing issue. Mario Party. I mean, what other game causes this much chaos and turmoil within friendships? Exactly. A national treasure. It seems like the GameCube Mario Parties are getting all the love, which is justified. Mario Party 4 is my favorite game ever, after all. But you know what doesn't seem to get as much love? Mario Party 8. It's the last mainline game with the classic formula before ND Cube did its thing, and the franchise would have a long, rocky road ahead. Maybe it's because the Wii nostalgia hasn't hit just yet, but personally I loved this game growing up. Yet the only thing brought up about it is the spotty motion controls. But I believe this game is so much more than that. Dare I say, it's as high quality as the earlier titles and should be respected as the last classic Mario Party. Let me explain. I know you don't need to think that hard about party game mechanics, but if I gotta debunk the misconceptions of this game, I need to break down exactly what makes a good Mario Party. I've boiled it down to 3 factors: a strong foundation of boards and minigames, consistent themes and aesthetics, and features that make it stand out from its peers. That may just sound like any good video game, but considering Mario Party's imperfect timeline, it's important to understand the basics of what makes the franchise fun. Mario Party 8 gets criticized for not really shaking up the gameplay, yet it's that exact reason that the classic formula is such a strong foundation. Call it nepotism, but it has the benefit of the previous titles to pull from. In my opinion, a solid foundation means a healthy variety of boards and minigames, and cutting through the frivolous motion controls, Mario Party 8 checks that box easily. This game's board variety is the perfect mix because it borrows from previous entries. While not every single one of them were represented, I'd say that the necessary types made it through. Of course, you got the classic grab the star type, but you also got make it to the end of a very long path, star stealing, guessing the star's location, and even capitalism, the board. I know these board types aren't new, but given how later Mario Party games struggled to make the maps unique and interesting, carrying the tradition is a blessing in comparison. Personally, I love all 6 boards for different reasons. They complement each other because their mechanics vary wildly. If I'm not feeling one board, one of the other 5 should be right up my alley. It's very hard to fumble the minigames, and I don't think any Mario Party game has an objectively bad selection of them. Yes, this one just so happens to have a bunch of motion controls or waggle. Yes, some of them can feel mindless. Yes, some of them are questionable, but you can't pretend like they're not at least funny. Trust me, it could have been so much worse. They could have forced every minigame to have motion controls, but they didn't. Plenty of minigames still have traditional controls. Don't worry, especially after 4 consecutive games with the GameCube and maybe mic controls, I definitely think it was due for a new type of control scheme. Also, shooting minigames always have and always will work best on the Wii. No debate. I believe that the strongest Mario Parties have distinct themes. For example, in Mario Party DS, everybody's tiny. Mario Party 4, Cinematic Circus. Mario Party 2, simply a variety of themes. It's what makes these entries more than just a mere collection of minigames. Mario Party 8 came out swinging with a strong carnival theme. It was no longer this ambiguous space with menus, it was an actual place with each mode having their own tent, making it feel like an all-encompassing event. And this wasn't just any carnival, no, it was the Star Carnival, aka the Epic Carnival. MC Ballyhoo was the original hype man. I know I'm right. Every time I boot up the game and hear, "Welcome to the Star Carnival," I already feel excitement and wonder. Who would have thought that I'd be hyped to ruin friendships? They went all out with this upbeat festival music to really drive home the theme. And to top it all off, the end of each party session is a grand finale. The audience gathers, Ballyhoo hypes us up. The anticipation couldn't get any higher than this. I've never felt more like a superstar when I'm declared the winner in any other Mario Party game compared to this spectacle. This is personally one of my favorite soundtracks because it has a whole range of moods, from yeehaw to tropical to spooky to electronica. I don't know how they kept up the high quality soundtrack 8 games in, but I have nothing but respect. We all know that Mario Party 8 is inherently derivative, but make no mistake, it still brought new mechanics that people tend to forget. one of them being a plethora of extra modes and minigames, thanks to the extra storage on Wii discs. No, not all of them were mind-blowing or necessary, but still appreciated. Moped Mayhem was hype and no one can tell me otherwise. They don't take away from the overall foundation, just fun little extras to help round out the complete package. Not even Mario Party Superstars holds a candle in terms of side activities. Candies basically replace traps with personal use items. I don't have a preference. Both achieve the same effect of messing with other players. The candies give you more agency because they're more direct, rather than waiting for someone to fall into a very obvious trap. One new feature I never hear anyone praise is Chump Charity. During the last 5 turns, MC Ballyhoo spreads a huge amount of coins across every single space on the board, creating a frenzy to grab as many coins as possible in an already chaotic home stretch. I don't know why this hasn't returned. It was such a genius idea, and love it or hate it, motion controls do set this game apart. You may laugh at how ridiculous Shake It Up is, but that's precisely why the motion controls were memorable. I don't think sticking to the same old controls would have been a smart move for a new Mario Party on the Wii. They gotta market the system's new features somehow. Clearly, after 8 entries, most were sick of Mario Party and something had to change. It's wild that it took 5 years for Mario Party 9 to release. At that point, a different studio was handling the franchise and it showed. It finally dared to shake up the formula with the car mechanic, yet was still met with criticism, which is a shame because I really don't know what fans really wanted then. People were sick of the same old formula, but then the new thing wasn't good enough. You couldn't win in that scenario. And unfortunately, I agreed with the criticism. I remember buying this game when it was new at Target. I wouldn't say it was bad. I definitely had fun playing it with others, but we knew it couldn't compare to the older titles. And I think that mixed signaling really messed with the developers, because they kinda went out of their way to try anything but the classic formula. They gave it an earnest effort, and I have to respect that. But unfortunately, due to this era of experimentation, the games would struggle to appease its audience. For years, a handful of their ideas sounded cool, but didn't have the same staying power, and some of them were just undercooked. Only recently did they regain their footing. By doing what? Returning to the classic formula. While the N64 and GameCube games get all the love nowadays, it seems unfair to exclude Mario Party 8 from that nostalgia. I really commend Hudson Soft for creating so many memorable games in such a short time frame. No, they're not like AAA high-budget games, but they made sure to justify each entry as something distinct. Each of them had their own merits, never feeling interchangeable. Just like the mainline Pokemon games, everyone prefers different Mario Party titles depending on which one was their first. For me, 8 was definitely one of them. Little did I know that the franchise was gonna enter a very confusing era, but what a swan song of a game to grow up with. In retrospect, it makes sense why Mario Party inevitably had to change. When the old formula becomes stale, you gotta switch it up and breathe new life into the series. While the changes weren't exactly successful, part of me wonders what would have happened if the franchise stayed the same since 2007. It might have been driven to the ground and people would stop caring about Mario Party altogether, which is a scary thought. But then again, Super Mario Party and its sequel were praised for bringing back the formula. So, what's the deal? I think the true reason was franchise fatigue. Part of why Mario Party 2 was released only a year later was to quickly address the famous joystick palm controversy. A new game every year was definitely not normal, but they decided to keep up the momentum. But that eventually proved to be unsustainable for everyone. The series began in the late 90s, yet by 2007 it already released 8 main titles, not even counting the couple spin-offs. Only Pokemon would have been able to match that pace, and we all know the eventual repercussions for that. Mario Party Superstars proved that the franchise just needed time to breathe. The formula never needed big sweeping changes, we just didn't need a new party every single year. Imagine that! Mario Party 8 is the perfect amalgamation of what the classic games had to offer. Maybe the peak nostalgia hasn't hit just yet, but trust me, if people were trying to convince me that Wii Sports was worth $30, the time will come when Mario Party 8 is recognized as part of the immaculate party game lineup. I and many others love this game, but I hope the rest of the world does too.